Welcome to Hate to Wait, where two lifelong dieters talk about their current struggles with weight loss. Diets, we've tried them all. We are not doctors. We don't play them on TV or on this podcast. Join our journey because we're all in this together.
Hi, Emily.
Hi, John.
Wow, I was really late getting down here today, and I got like all kinds of feels and all kinds of things to talk about.
Good, because I was scrambling. I was like, I can complain that sizes on clothes aren't all the same, but that's it. That's the length of my complaints. So I'll go really quickly with my week. Stuck to my diet, ate a lot over the weekend. I found out intermittent fasting cannot save you from everything. We'll find out more in the weigh-in, folks. But John, go.
So it's been a rough week because, Sam went last week. And
yeah.
So I'm still trying to get that under because it was so nice having her here. We cooked, we kept each other in check somewhat. And when she went back, there was just like this deep sadness. And of course, what it did was it just fired up my inner eating disorder. I just wanted to eat all the things. You know what I don't have on my new thing? I don't have on my new board. I don't have my bear. So it's gonna be.
There you are, Tubby.
So I got to get a bear on here.
Yeah.
So that.
Arr.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's not good. That's not a good bear.
That's not a good bear.
Never use that sound drop for anything.
Okay. So I talked about last week when I went to the therapist and she put my weight loss surgery on hold. She wanted to talk to me about this. So I went in there yesterday. Yesterday was my appointment. And she's such a funny person to go through. This is like no therapist I've ever had before. We just sit down and just hash it out. And I told her how I binged on ice cream sandwiches before I got there. Because the anxiety of having to go to talk about this and having just this whole anxiety. So we sat down and we really hashed it out. And we talked about podcasting. And she said, well, we started talking about it. She goes, I was on a radio show one time and I was so scared. I don't know how you do what you do. And I said, well, when I was doing podcasting, when I first opened up the mic, I was terrified and I thought I was going to make a fool out of myself. But I wanted to do it so bad that I kept fighting through the mistakes. I kept fighting through the embarrassment. I kept fighting through things that I did wrong that would derail me normally. And because I wanted it so bad. And then she said to me, why can't you take that and apply it to what you're going to do here? So we started talking about how my love for podcasting and how I fought so hard through everything to be where I am right now. Now, I'm not saying I'm the best podcaster, but I've learned a lot through the years that I've done podcasting, and I've made a ton of mistakes live where I've done things so that would embarrass everyone. And I was like, well, so what? Who cares? So I said, you know what? That starts to make sense. So we started to take and use podcasting and my eating disorder and what could we do to handle when I start to feel that way. She gave me some tips, and instead of letting my eating disorder drive me, because everything that I do, and this, I don't know why, it's really weird. It's like you don't understand it until somebody tells you about it and you step back and you're like, wow, why didn't I see that? Why haven't I seen that? And this eating disorder, the binge eating, has driven my whole life. And it's been doing it since I was about 13 or 14. So an example of that would be I buy food. I don't cook the food. The food goes bad. I throw it away. Meanwhile, I go out and eat all this bad fast food and everything. Why is that? Well, it's not because I make an excuse that I don't have time to cook. The reason I don't have time to cook is because I don't want to cook, because I want to go out and feed my eating disorder. And my eating disorder is talking to me. And
Yeah.
my eating disorder, for some crazy reason at the time, sounds like it's like a smart idea. So what I have to do is I have to step back, and when I feel like I want to do something, I have to step back and question my motives on everything,
Yeah.
everything. And I started doing that yesterday. So this morning I woke up and I got ready, and I was getting ready to come down here, and I said, I need to eat breakfast because they want me to eat within an hour when I wake up. So I said, I don't want a shake. I don't feel like a shake today. Shake just doesn't sound like something that I really want. I said, I want to get, I want something like eggs. I don't have time to cook eggs. Let me go jump in the truck, go to Dunkin' Donuts and get one of those sandwiches. And then I thought to myself, which is faster? So then I had to say, which is faster? Let's find out. Let's time it. So I put my timer on my phone, and I sat it down. I grabbed a pan. I fried 2 eggs, put 2 slices of cheese on them, toasted 2 English muffins, put the eggs on the English muffin, put a little hot sauce on top of it, grabbed some water, sat down, had breakfast, timed the whole thing out, 10 minutes. 10 minutes. So now if I would have got in my truck, washed the pan, put the pan back. I used a paper plate, so I threw that in the trash.
Yeah.
So I was done. 10 minutes. If I would have jumped in a truck and drove to Dunkin' Donuts and came back, it was 15. So it's not that I don't have time.
Yeah.
It's I don't want to. The same thing. It's the same. It kind of is the same basic food, except that I have more control over it. So that's what I'm really dealing with this week is the feelings that I'm having. Why am I having these feelings? And then how to handle this. And honestly, just wanted to start doing this. As soon as we got done talking and I left, when I was on my way home, I was like, well, I'm already out. Why don't I stop and get something? I'll stop and get something healthy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you have food at home. Why are you going to stop and get something healthy? The healthy food's at home. I said, you're not allowed to get something out. You're going home. And so now it's a fight with me. It's like almost like a parent parenting a child. So that's where I am right now. And it's a whole new experience for me. So it's really weird to have to sit there and second guess every thought in your head that has to do with food.
Yeah.
So it's I could do it the intermittent fasting, but right now she wants me to do 3 meals, which is fine, and 2 snacks, which okay, because a lot of times she says, you don't eat because you want to get so hungry that you have no time, and then you'll just eat anything. So I was like, that does sound kind of like me. That sounds kind of like me. So she gave me 5 coping tips, and I kind of half-assed jotted them down when I was in there. So it's like a DBT, I think it is. If that's the 3 letters, it's something BT. I don't know. Anyhow, I have to go back and look this up and then get those 5 things, because she says you can even go, if you want to go overeat, you can. But I want you to go through these 5 things first.
What are these things? Are they questions that you ask yourself?
Yes, they are questions that I ask myself.
That's what I was wondering. I was wondering the context of are they things you remind yourself of, or are they questions that you ask yourself? Yeah.
Yeah. So what I did was I jotted them down on a note-taking app in my Android, and then when I turned the phone off, I didn't save it, so that they disappeared. And I was like, shoot, what did I just do? So I'll have to, like I said, I'll look it up. I mean, I just went to her yesterday.
Yeah. You can always get back to us next week.
Yeah. Oh, no, not next week.
Oh, no, next week. I'm sorry. For people listening, I will be away next week, so there will not be a show. Just a heads up.
That has basically been my week. I would say today is like the first day of this. So I'll have 2 weeks of practice by the time we have another episode out. And I'm looking forward to it because it's a challenge right now to see if I can make this work, because this is what I've always wanted.
Yeah.
A way to just be able to say, no, I'm not going to do that today. I'm not going to order a pizza. Yeah, I'm pissed off, or yeah, I'm lonely, or yeah, I'm whatever. And it's not hunger. Yeah. It's this, and I need something else to do because of it. And we're going to give it a whirl. So
when you've already tried it, in the days since learning about it, have you started to notice the difference between that voice and actual John?
No, not yet.
You haven't gotten
No, because like this morning, I got up and that's why I was a little late to get down here because I waited until I said, well, let me get this done. Let me get that done. And then I said, oh, I don't have time to eat, but I'm really hungry. I should eat something. I don't want the shakes. Why don't I just go to Dunkin' Donuts and get one of those bagel sandwiches? And I thought to myself, does that make sense? Why does that make sense? Will that save time? Let's find out. You know what? Let's find out if it'll save time. Maybe we'll do it next time. But we're going to find out if it saves time. And I just realized it doesn't save time.
No.
Nope.
No. It saves convenience and it saves decision making. It saves you from decision fatigue in a way because when you're cooking, you're just like, okay, do I use this pan? Do I use this pan? Do I use these eggs? Are they expired? Is this cream expired? Is this, whatever expired?
That is true because I went through all that today because I picked up one thing of eggs. I'm like, July 4th. It's a little late.
Like, I think that's why, I'm very conscious right now of all the decisions that we make every day because we were talking about decision fatigue, I think last week or the week before. And I'm very aware of all those decisions. And that's actually, I'll put my toy down. And that's actually.
Emily's a fiddler. If you don't watch live and you're just listening to this, she's a fiddler.
I was trying to give you a clean cut and then I forgot what I was saying.
Oh, that's staying in.
Okay. All right. Then I'm just going to keep playing with it, John.
Go ahead.
Everybody can hear my Rubik's Cube. Yeah.
That's fine.
With decision fatigue, it's something that I'm noticing more and more is the more decisions I have to make about something, the less I'm going to do it. And I anticipate those decisions. And even the anticipation causes me anxiety and starts to get me pre-stressed for whatever it is. I'm just sitting there trying to make a decision of, do I cook or do I go out?
You're absolutely right.
And you got to look for those patterns too. The patterns that you want to repeat because you've done them so often that now they're ingrained in you, like going out and getting fast food. That was hard for me to quit. I didn't even quit. I just started going to a drive-through smoothie place instead.
You took one habit and moved it to another that was healthier, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I was thinking about decision fatigue this morning when I started thinking about because I have to now take everything I think about and question it. Why? Why do you want to do that? I'm like a 2-year-old. Remember a 2-year-old? John, do that. Why?
Why?
Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
And if you say why one more time, I'm going to give you a backhand. Now, do I practice decisions so maybe I won't be as fatigued? I don't know that, but I have to try it. And the reason I know that was because I just started this decision fatigue probably 3 o'clock yesterday. And then when I got home and I made dinner and then I had to come down here and do some stuff, there was a show that I had to do that had one client had one file and the other client had problems with their computer and I had 4 files and no sync track. Yeah. So I knew I had to match them up. I knew it was going to be horrible. I knew that it was going to take a long time. I was mad because why are you giving me 4 files?
Why did this happen?
How did this happen? So
the reason I'm laughing is because I know who this is, and it and it is so on brand, and I love it. I love her for it.
I know. Then I heard in the recording, well, I think I'm going to plug my computer in, and I'm like, you mean we've been doing this the whole time? Yeah. And your computer ran out of juice in the middle. Mm-hmm. So it was that whole fatigue that I just didn't even want to do that. I didn't want to do it. And finally I said, you're just going to have to sit down and do it.
Yeah.
And by the time I got done with the show, I was texting one of the hosts complaining about the other one.
Oh, John, don't do that.
So no. I was like, don't do how that, does this happen? I want answers. So here it gets better. I am part of this show and I wasn't able to be there. If I would have had a sync track, there would have been no problem. It wouldn't have been an issue, but I wasn't there. And I'm like, so this is my punishment for not, being on the show. So at the end, the show just cut off and I had to finish the show. So I figured since I'm part of the show, I'll just do the ending. So I did the ending and I'm getting ready to put the music in the show. And Sam calls me and I said, oh, you want to hear my ending? And she goes, yeah. So I start playing it, and like 3 sentences in, Sam starts shaking her head. No, you can't say that. So I had to scrap that ending and make a whole new ending for the show. I guess I was decision fatigued.
Here's the scary thing about decision fatigue that I found, and this is with food or this is with work or anything. Once I get to the point of having to make too many decisions and my brain is fried, then I get sloppy and then I do things that are a little bit more audacious, like make something like that, or I distract myself with a big Instagram post that I decide I cannot deal with these decisions anymore. I'm going to do something fun, but
yeah, and then you look at it later like, should I delete that?
Yeah. So you got to be careful when you really stretch your decision making muscle, I think. And I'm learning that because there are just so many things with dieting that you're making decisions about. And I want to point out in the chat, Michelle gave some really good questions that she asks herself when it comes to food. What will this do for me? How will I feel after? What do I really need? And who can I reach out to? And those are some of the questions that Michelle uses. And those are great, great questions. One of the questions that I love is, what do I really need? Because I've noticed when I'm craving certain things, like really craving, like, oh my gosh, nothing in my house sounds good. I want to go out and I want to get fries. Okay. Why do I want fries? Do I want that comfort feeling of potatoes? Because potatoes is something that was a comfort food to me growing up. We had potatoes for every meal. That was the only time my parents, and I would sit together once a day. And for the most part, they kept their arguments away from the table. So dinner was always really good for me. That includes dessert too. So going back to the fries though, maybe I want something salty. Am I getting enough minerals? Minerals are something that if you're craving salt, there's a chance you're craving minerals like magnesium and those minerals that I have, like mineral drops that I put into my water every so often. And they actually take away that salt craving. I used them once. I think you might remember this on my Instagram stories. I had the hiccups once. Yes. And someone was saying, I looked up online how to get rid of it. And I saw a YouTube video, and don't take medical advice from YouTube people, but this was barely medical. This was hiccups. And she was like, oh, just pour some mineral drops under your tongue and your hiccups will go away. It was the worst tasting thing in the world. It was so terrible. And I did it on Instagram.
Oh, like you did it live?
Yeah, I did it live on Instagram. It was just, I'm remembering the taste of it now. If you get mineral drops, they're wonderful. They're great. I do notice a difference. When you start taking them, start with small doses or be near a bathroom. And just doing that, it does take away those salty cravings that I've noticed. Even things like, I'm trying to think of other cravings I've had that, it's usually something else. It's usually like a vitamin deficiency. There was at one point when I was starting intermittent fasting and learning about the fact that your body ends up sort of correcting your overeating and also correcting what you want, what you're craving. And one of the things I was craving was ginger and garlic. And I just kept buying ginger and garlic and putting it in everything. It was like, how about macaroni and cheese with ginger and garlic? Why not? And it's something that my body was craving at the time. So it's a really interesting question to start asking yourself once you become more mindful about your eating. Do you ever notice that? Do you ever ask yourself, okay, what do I really need? What does this food actually, why am I grabbing this quick food? But like, what do I need from it that I'm trying to get that I'm too lazy to go think about where to get it elsewhere in a healthier way?
I don't have that. What I do have is it's like a vibration in the middle of my chest right here. Mm-hmm. It's like a vibration. It's almost like, I'm trying to think, I was trying to explain it yesterday, but I get this vibration in my chest that feels like a weakness. And I want that feeling to go away. And it's not hunger because hunger is more in the stomach area.
Yeah.
So that is the biggest, when I get that feeling now, that is the biggest thing that makes me question. And I've had to do this 4 times since yesterday.
Yeah.
Why is that happening? What am I doing? And it always goes back to being anxious that I had to come down here and put that show together that had 4 files, being anxious that I was going to be completely aggravated and upset because this didn't have to be this way.
Is that where your anxiety, is that where it manifests in your body? Like for me with anxiety?
Right here, center mass in my chest, in my cleavage, if you would say. basically.
I would say in your heart chakra, because I'm all into that. So I'm like,
Oh.
let's talk about your heart chakra.
I didn't know I had a heart chakra.
Well, it's right there. It's in your chest. And when you feel anxious and you notice that tightness, especially there, it's something to look at. But that's in my own little woo world. So
Saying that, when I first started podcasting, you remember there was a whole time where I didn't have a show, and it was about 1.5 years that I wasn't podcasting on the mic. And I decided that, I need to do this because I need to feel the pain that other clients feel. That way I can help them when there's issues and learn more. And I felt like the industry was getting past me because I wasn't podcasting. So I started podcasting again. And the first 5 episodes, that feeling in my chest was right there.
yeah, that's your anxiety. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was my anxiety building up being behind the mic. Now I have no problem. I don't feel that at all when I open up the mic.
Yeah.
So, going through the therapist, she said, you do have a lot of anxiety, which drives depression, which drives all this. So it's been this way for a while. Could have also been enhanced by the concussions that I've had. Because back then they didn't even know that you're supposed to rest your brain and not read and not drive and not watch TV. And then when I had my major concussion, I was at work the next day. Drove to work, drove home, went home and slept. I don't even know if my brain healed right. I would say, by the way, I stutter and lose things, and my memory goes that it didn't. So I don't know, but I'm fighting through that now. And I don't even know if you can bring that, your brain, once you do something to your brain, you're kind of screwed.
I'd like to think you can. I'd like to think that you
I
can
would
really
like to think that too, but I'm also open to the idea that maybe not so much, but that's okay. We'll deal with what we have to deal with. Thank God for editing, because you won't hear some of the stutters and the long pauses in the podcast that you'll hear if you're watching this live. But is it really that big of a deal? We as editors, we see that as a problem, but maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, we're very keyed in on it, but not everybody is as keyed in as we are.
Exactly. So that whole vibration in my chest thing, I'm really paying attention to it. And then also questioning myself, why am I going to change up what I'm supposed to do? And also pre-planning. We all know pre-planning works. And the reason I'm not pre-planning is because I want to be able to trick myself into doing things that I shouldn't be doing. And that's now what I'm doing now is I'm loading my FitnessPal up a day ahead of time. So I know what I'm having for lunch tomorrow.
That is brilliant.
So there is no fatigue. I know what I'm having for lunch tomorrow. I know what I'm having for breakfast tomorrow. And I know what I'm having for dinner tomorrow. So I'm a day ahead.
You know what? And it's so funny. Decision fatigue and ADHD are like mortal enemies. Because as much as we don't want to make decisions and as much as it feels so good to plan ahead and open up your planner and see, okay, my day is mapped out for me. I don't have to make any decisions today. Great. I'll just go with the flow. All of a sudden our ADD is like, oh my God, you are boring me. I can't live like this. This is terrible. Don't give me this structure. No, I don't like this. I want to be free and I want to do all the things and I want to have options and I want shiny things. And it's like, no, I promise you, you will be so much happier if we just stick to this schedule.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's the fight, the fist fight between what's going on. And listen, I don't think that I'll ever be super thin, or I just want to be able to move around and do things. I want to be more mobile. I want to be able to get out. I'm just tired of being strapped by this weight where movement is so hard. And that's what I'm working towards.
What are you most looking forward to? Do you have like a big goal for when you lose weight? Not just like, I'm going to be skinny, but do you have like a vacation or anything in mind? Like, tell me.
No, my big goal is to be able to go to podcasting conferences and hang out with podcasters and go around and become the face, and be me outside here. Also, my other big goal is to go and start doing stand-up. I don't even care if I get paid a dime for doing stand-up. I'm going to go to open mics and see whatever and just try to work because I've always wanted to do it, and I've wasted 40 years of being afraid. I'm no longer afraid of failure. I don't care.
Hey.
Yeah. I figured that by doing the podcast and learning how to handle when things don't go well, I should be able to get up there. And if the crowd doesn't like it, okay, fine. I did something wrong. Let me go back and analyze it and then try to redo it again. My biggest thing to be able to do stand-up is to be able to stand up for 15 minutes without being in pain and sweating. and then be able to go to a podcast conference and go places. And when someone says, hey, let's go walk here, and yeah, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
So that's the end goal here, is being able to go and walk. There's times when I dream that I'm walking around with people and we're all going over to, and I'm walking around, I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. I can walk all over the place and I don't feel any pain. And then when I wake up and I was like, oh boy, if I could only feel that, if that could only happen again. So that's what I'm doing here.
How long have you been living with this pain? Like, when was the last time you remember walking around like that?
2006.
Is that before the elevator accident?
That's before the accident, yeah.
I feel like any new listeners are just like, oh, the elevator accident. Like, what is that?
It wasn't an elevator accident. It was actually a stairs accident where I was trying to get down a set of steps and my foot slipped out, and then I tried to do like a baseball slide, so I didn't fall head first down the steps, and I tore the meniscus in my one knee, and I herniated 2 discs in my back, and then I continued to work that way for the better part of 6 months before I sought medical attention. And by the time they tried to fix my knee, it never was right. So that being said, then what happened was I was less mobile, and then I would eat the same.
Yeah.
See, the elevator business and being an elevator mechanic masked my eating disorder because I walked so much and climbed so much and did so much physical activity that it didn't matter. I was running, my weight then was somewhere around 320 pounds. And I honestly, 320 pounds, I didn't look like I was 320 pounds.
Yeah, you could run with it. You could actually do stuff.
Yeah, I could climb, and there was no problem with it. I think it was a lot more muscle back then. So when I didn't have the same mobility and couldn't walk, I was still eating the same, and then maybe more because I was depressed because I was having these issues. And that's when it just started all piling back on. I wouldn't be on a scale because back then I didn't even have a scale to weigh myself. And when I finally bought a scale when I could weigh myself and got on a scale, I think I was over 400. I was like 410, 415 pounds. So that was really, really tough. And I said, I'll never get down. And then I lost weight and I got down to 350. And then I said, I'll never go back up again. And then I went back up past 410 like it was a mile marker on the road, and I was in a truck going by at 50 mile an hour and screamed right up over 500. And then when I see a TV show saying my 600-pound life and realizing that could be me next year if I don't get a hold of this, I don't want to be that guy. I see that and it terrifies me. So then when you said, we should start this show, I said, well, it'll help hold me to be accountable. And then also maybe if somebody's looking for a weight loss podcast and they're in their 30s and they listen to my story and they're like, God, I don't want to be like him. I need to change my lifestyle now. And then maybe hear what I'm going through. And then they can use the same thing that I'm going through to help them or go seek help. Then doing this is all worth it. And we'll see what happens. So I feel that maybe at episode 63, that now I'm where you were 6 months ago. Okay. 6 months ago, you were getting this all together. Now you're on autopilot. You're making little tweaks, but you got things going on. So maybe in 6 months, I'll be where you are. And then there'll be another 100 pounds off. That's what I'm hoping.
And a lot of it is mindset. It's kind of, once I realized that a lot of this was my mind, and not even my mind telling me things that were true. Once I realized that the things that my mind were telling me, that a lot of them were either false or they were things that I always believed. And just because I always believed something doesn't make it true. And I'm examining a lot of those things that, well, this is how it's always been. And I'm starting to really examine those things and say, well, why? Why is this my thought pattern? Why has this always been my thought pattern? And going back and figuring out where I got that idea from, and then really examining that idea and saying, is this actually truth? Is this something that I've seen in the world? Or is this something that I see because I was given this as a kid, this idea as a kid? So I'll give an example if that's if that's a little murky and unclear. I guess things like dessert. I was thinking about dessert last night and how I always got dessert as a kid. And the reason I got a dessert was because I finished my meal and I ate everything I was supposed to. And so I was given a dessert and I was told, good girls who finish their meals get dessert. Well, how much has that actually morphed into something that from what you tell a 3-year-old so that they eat their peas to what you tell a 36-year-old when she gets a full meal at McDonald's and then decides, well, if I finish this quarter pounder and large fries and large Coke, clearly I deserve an ice cream sundae.
So basically it's like, so if I finish this 1,800 calorie meal, which is probably the most calories, a day's worth of calories or more.
Yeah. Yes.
I deserve another 1,200 to 1,500 calorie dessert.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And those are the thought patterns that it's like, wait, I know logically because I know how calories work. I know how food works. I know how this quarter pounder is going to affect me and make me feel like crap just because I ate something that I didn't necessarily even like, but just because I finished it, it doesn't mean I get another 300 calories. That's not a reward system. That also means that now I'm looking at how I'm rewarding my kids and I'm being really conscious of if I'm rewarding them with food.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when I was talking yesterday, we dug back into my childhood to see where maybe some of this started. And when I was 10 years old, I was playing midget football, and football was by weight. So I had to make a 105-pound weight class. When I started practice in August, we weighed in September. When I started practice in August, I came to, now remember, I'm 10 years old. I weighed 125 pounds. So now I have to make 105 pounds. So I have to lose 20 pounds. And that's a lot for a kid. And I wasn't really that heavy. So it was a week before weigh-in, and I was 110 pounds, and I had to lose 5 pounds. And I was eating like 7 grapes and a half of a chicken sandwich or something like that. And that was what I was eating. And I was, barely any breakfast. And so it was 2 days before, and I was still at 110 pounds. So the coach said to my mom, can I take him out of school? And I would work out, and the last day they put trash bags and sweat shirts on me. And I was in a sauna doing sit-ups and pull-ups, and I wasn't allowed to drink water. They wrung 6 pounds out of me. So that night when I went to go to the weigh-in, when I had to go naked, wasn't even allowed to put underpants on. I had to stand on the scale naked, and that was mortifying. And then the coach said to me, if you are over 105 pounds, stay on the scale, don't step off, because if you step off, you won't be able to play. I want you to stick your finger down your throat, throw up, and then we're going to shave your head, to see if we can get the weight off. So I stepped on the scale, and I weighed 104 3/4 pounds.
And thank goodness, because you probably had nothing to throw up.
There was nothing left to throw up. I remember that when I got off the scale and got dressed, my mom had a big hoagie for me.
Oh.
And I tore into that hoagie, and I ate it so fast that it made me sick.
Yeah.
But the problem was that I had to keep my weight down, because in 4 weeks, I had to make 105 pounds again.
Uh-huh.
So same thing, sweating, all that. So then when I made the second time I weighed in, I weighed 104.5 pounds. And that was it. So the last 4 games we played, I was allowed to, they didn't weigh me in again. I didn't have to make weight. I went from 104.5 to the next week, I weighed 127. I gained that much weight.
Oh my goodness. That was the opposite of a spit take, everyone. Was
yeah. So basically what it was I hydrated my body again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
obviously.
then I was eating like crazy because I was so deprived for the better part of 2 months. And maybe that's where that all started from. I don't know. Who knows?
Well, but, okay, John, we've talked about how our memories they're getting so fuzzy, but you remember that clearly as if that could have happened a week or 2 ago. That's trauma right there.
I remember that when I got the hoagie or a sub for people that aren't in the Philadelphia area, that the kids wanted a piece of it because they were trying to make weight too. And I was going to fist fight them.
I would have.
No one's getting a bite of this. And I'm not sharing this. Screw you. So, I still remember the gym. I still remember the smell of what the sauna smelled like because it smelled so bad because there was 3 of us in there sweating, sit-ups, push-ups, just sitting there sweating. I remember taking the sweatshirt. You had a sweatshirt and then a plastic bag. And I remember taking my sweatshirt off and being able to take it and wring it out and water would just pour out of it.
Yeah.
10 years old. 10.
If you knew what you knew now, what would you tell that 10-year-old John?
I would just say, go play 125 ball.
Would it be that easy, really?
I could have played 125 ball, probably. And then the funny thing was that the next year, I couldn't even make 125. The next year, I was like 135, 140, and I couldn't make 120. I didn't play football after that. I tried playing freshman football, and I was too small for freshman football because I was young. I went to school. I was ahead of my mom put me to school
at that point.
Well, no, when I went for freshman football, I think I was 13.
Oh, okay.
13 years old. Yeah. So I was too small and I couldn't play. And then when I had a growth spurt and I went back next year and I couldn't stand the coach. So the coach said, come on, you can play now. You're big enough to play now. And I said, yeah, I don't want to play for you. And I wouldn't play. So that was the end of basically high school football for me. And that was a sport that I loved to play. So, through that whole thing that maybe that's where this whole disorder started because at that time is when I started, basically playing. Although, you know what? I think it was a body image thing too. Because I told you I was doughy, but now I see pictures of me when I was 21. I was like, dude, you were thin. I'd kill to have that body now. And that's what I've been trying to do for the past 15 years is find somebody that could walk me through this and help me, try to figure out how to stop this. It's all I've ever wanted is to be able to stop this behavior because basically, and I explained it last night as I have a side of me that is very deceptive that I don't like. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know what? No one's going to know. We're going to go eat. We're going to go do all this. And you're not going to say anything. You're not going to tell anyone because you're going to be too embarrassed to tell anyone. You're going to shut your mouth and you're going to do what I want and you're not going to say a word.
Oh my God, it sounds like misery is going on inside of your head and like evil John is Kathy Bates right now. And like you're trying so hard, but then she's going to do, I don't remember what the name of that torture was, but the scene I'm talking about?
Yeah,
that
sure.
You cannot, with the board and the feet. Yeah, no.
It's called, what was it called? It's called hobbling.
Hobbling. Oh, they're all
Right.
cringing right now thinking about this scene. They're like, why'd you have to bring that up? Oh. I feel like that's what it's doing to you. It's just like, oh, you think you're going to be good? Well, let's just place this board of ice cream sandwiches right here.
You just got done talking about this. Guess what? Today, you're going to go out and eat half a pizza.
Yeah.
So I started planning my day. So after this, what I have to do is I have some work to do. And then I have the podcast that I do, Revive Live at, from 1 until 2. So usually I get done at 3 o'clock. I have to go pick my son up and take him to therapy. So then I sit in the car from 4:30 to 5. I could go in the waiting room, but I don't want to go in the waiting room because my legs are wrapped and I don't want to. So I'll sit in the car. So at that time, I'm going to have to eat. And then when I come home, I have to record for a client from 7 to 8. And then at 9 o'clock, I record a podcast at a round table where I'm a co-host. And that's my night. All right. Oh, and then also I got to get Lisa and Sam's episode ready to go and get that out. That's all tonight. So I got a busy day. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to be able to I'm not going to cook dinner. I'm not going to have time to cook dinner and bring it with me. Mm-hmm. So what I decided to do was I know there's a Jimmy John's sub shop right down the road, and they have those unwitches where they don't use a roll, they use lettuce.
Nice. Oh, those are delicious.
Right. So what I'm going to do, so I put it in there. It's 500 calories, and I'm going to have a Jimmy John's unwich with a bottle of water, and that'll be dinner tonight. So, but just thinking about that, so I planned it. And then at first I planned it with the roll. And it was like 900 calories. I was like, well, guess what? We're not, that roll's not 400 calories tasty. I like a good roll, but not 400 calories roll.
Yeah.
So it's just things like that. Oh, all right. I'm exhausted.
I know. You did a lot. You actually did a lot of work in this podcast.
In like 24 hours. In the last 24 hours, a lot of stuff's been going on.
Yeah. That's great. Are you getting enough water? This is what I'm going to ask you. When you do therapy, when you do deep thinking like this, make sure you're getting enough water.
Yeah, I do. I really do have to start drinking more water. And the problem is because I take the whooshy pill, that I just feel like I should just take the cap off the water bottle and just pour it into the toilet. But
No, for some reason it needs to filter through you first.
Yeah, it does. You have to filter through first. But it just feels like when I drink water, that's what happens. All right. So why don't we find out what our comrades in arms are doing?
Yeah.
Get into Winning Wednesdays? Winning Wednesdays?
Yes.
Winning Wednesday. Winning Wednesday. Winning Wednesday. Winning Wednesday. Winning Wednesday.
We also have a comment in the chat from Erica, by the way. She says, maybe a money/time goal. I think about all the money I spent on fast food. Funneling that money toward that podcaster conference would further both goals, eating right and reaching a personal goal, just like when you started a podcast.
No, absolutely. I did see that. And honestly, I feel like right now that I just want to wander around in these feelings.
Good.
I just want to wander around because I feel like if I try to handle the feelings, that, if I try to wrestle these feelings.
Right. Don't wrestle. Yeah.
Right. I don't want to wrestle them right now. I just want to handle them and step back. I don't mind a good fist fight if it has to happen. All right. But I want to feel out my opponent right now. So I know where to punch. I want to know where to punch my disorder. And I want to, roll around in these feelings right now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird in a funny way that, we're taking off next week. So I have 2 full weeks to deal with this.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, honestly, I don't know how this could go good or it could go horribly wrong in the next, I'm just thinking I could lose 10 pounds in the 2 weeks or I could gain 20. So this is, I'm a little bit scared. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little scared.
So Thursday is my travel day. I will be getting back in the afternoon and then I'm traveling again Friday morning, but I can do something Thursday night. Do you want to do that?
No. Okay. I listen, I love this for you. All right. But I know it's going because then you have to do the show notes and I don't.
I don't want to do show notes. Yeah. No.
I renege my offer.
I renege my offer because I'm thinking about future Emily and she is not happy with this decision I'm making right now.
Right. No, you go enjoy your conference and don't worry about this and we'll do something. Listen, I might pop on Thursday and have a single solo thing with the group and maybe talk with the group. I'm not making promises right now, but I am. But I just can't bring someone. I would really feel weird bringing somebody else in. Although if I couldn't make it and you brought someone else in, that wouldn't bother me. It wouldn't. But I mean, for me, I just couldn't do that right now.
You're like my husband and me. I'm just like, you can never cheat on me. And he's kind of just like, you could cheat on me with a girl. And I'm just like, shut up. Shut up.
You think that would, something? He says that, but I don't think he would like that. I don't think he would like that, especially if you guys got really chummy. He would feel left out. And to be honest with you, Mark, you would be left out. So don't wish for stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, he didn't even mean it in a overtly you should bring it. It's more just like, if you wanted to be with a girl, I wouldn't be mad. And
listen, I understand that.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking the same thing. I'm just like, yeah, but there's emotions there. Are you not making that connection? Anyway, so Winning Wednesday.
We're off on a tangent.
Yeah. Ingrid said, I lost 6 pounds since coming back from vacation.
Marty says, I exercised every day, ate good, felt good, haven't lost any more, but clothes are feeling better.
Yay.
I think that's the true test of weight loss, when your clothes start to feel loose.
Yeah. Oh, this is a new name. Tabata. Please let me know if I'm pronouncing this correctly. Please. I don't want to screw up names. I really don't.
I would have said Tabitha, but I know that's not it.
Well, I'm seeing the accent mark.
Right.
That's why. After a few months of avoiding, I had an appointment with a nutritionist and an endocrinologist. I have a new meal plan and I'm feeling really excited. After doing some exams, I have fat in my liver, but the doctor believes that as I lose weight, it will improve. One of the biggest reasons I avoided going to the doctor was because I was afraid to hear that my health was in worse condition than I expected. Thankfully, it wasn't as bad as I was anticipating.
Yeah, I got the fatty liver too. And, once you start losing weight, it'll correct itself. So, yeah, good job. Look at the name I get to pronounce. All right, let's try this one. I'm going to go with Mariana.
I like it. Please let us know if we pronounce your name, or if you don't mind us butchering your name. It's fine.
I'm going to go with Mariana. I hope that's right. Last Friday, I decided to do 1 week no alcohol, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
Evening drinks and snacks were sabotaging my weight loss. Doing IF.
Oh my goodness. John, do you remember the first podcast I had 4 years ago? I was all about drinking wine. And now
Yes.
that I do IF, I have not. I had champagne at a wedding. I had wine at a brunch maybe a few months ago. But that's been it for about 8 or 9 months as far
And
as
the
drinking.
classy little podcast in the very beginning was the pairing of the wine and the cheese.
Yeah.
Not only
Yeah.
was there wine, there was cheese.
There was cheese, and we paired it, and I made sure to drink the whole bottle and eat like the whole block of cheese with my co-host just to make sure that, I don't know, we were drunk enough to do a podcast. Who knows? Anyway, Annette says...
I miss drunk Emily.
Annette says, I was away for the weekend at an event that entailed a lot of walking. I managed to cover 23,000 steps on Saturday / 19,000 steps on Sunday. My knees held out and pain was minimal, feeling like it's a step or two in the right direction. Yay!
Yeah, see, that's where I want to be. Right there. Victoria says, I'm letting go of some of my roomier clothes that I really don't want to need again.
Yay!
I did that. I threw out all my fat clothes and then I had to go buy new fat clothes. That's horrible. But listen, throw them out or get rid of them. Give them away.
Yeah.
And this way, when the things start to tighten up, you're like, I don't really want to go back. I don't really want to go back to sweatpants. So
Even your skinny clothes that you're saving, save them so that you fit into them, but then really evaluate, like, is this still in style? Is this still cool? It's probably not. Or is this like go buy new clothes. If you lose weight, go celebrate. Go buy new clothes.
yes.
Scotty says, took the family to Yellowstone, hiked over 40 miles. 40 miles. Wow. In a 5-day span. We saw a wolf in the wild, which is very rare, and 4 bears. And he puts a picture in front of, I think it's a geyser.
It might be Old Faithful.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations, Scotty. That's great. That's amazing.
So-
I mean, 40 miles in 5 days.
40 miles, 5 days. That's fantastic.
If I do the podcast math, that's 8 miles a day.
Yeah, podcast math.
Look at me. Scott says, I am running up to 7 miles a day now.
Wow.
I also spent 4 days hand digging an emergency drainage fix at the lake home. No idea how to measure all those calories. I've also been logging into my FitnessPal daily. I might not get all of the food filled out for the day, but at least I'm attempting to.
Yay.
Congratulations on the 100 pounds. Keep doing what they tell you to do. Thanks.
Now, he put a picture in
Of the lake house.
of the lake house. Yeah.
Oh, wow, look at the size of that hole we dug.
I know.
Good gracious.
Emergency drainage. Wow.
Usually when I have an emergency drainage, it's not with a shovel.
Ba-da-cha!
Where-
Brenda says I took my ninja bullet on vacation so I could make my green smoothies.
Huh. Amy says, I set a goal weight for a trip we'll be taking, and I hit it a week early. Celebrated with some new
Wow.
shirts and tank tops.
Yay! Amy's been pretty active in the group lately. I've seen it. I like it.
Yes.
Elizabeth says, between county fair food and pizza, I am happy to say that I maintained my weight. That's even better. That's so good.
It's like a get
I
out
love
of jail
maintaining.
free card. You know, it's
It
like,
is. Yeah. Yeah.
well, I think, the walking and everything, as long as you can build your metabolism up to really go, you might be able to, but you really can't exercise the fork. But I do think that, hey, look, it didn't no harm, no foul. So that's great.
Well, it's like people who spend a lot and then they overwork themselves so that they can afford their lifestyle. And then when they overwork themselves and their health suffers, and
Right.
then they're like, oh, I can't afford my lifestyle anymore.
Right. Yeah. Guess what? Now I'm a slave to my lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's horrible. Been there, done that. Have the receipts. Jennifer says over 40,000 steps at a car show. I don't even know what that is in miles, but that's a lot of steps.
That is a lot of steps. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations, everybody. And if I have a winning Wednesday, I started looking at my my step counter, whatever that's called. It's not a Fitbit, but it's on my phone.
Yeah.
And for the past 2 weeks, I have a daily step count of over 2,000 steps.
Mm.
So why do you drink water when I talk?
Mm.
No spit take this time. So basically, I've doubled my steps. Now, there's some times when I'm under 1,000, but there's plenty of times where, like the other day, I was over 3,000. So
Wow.
a weekly, yeah. So I'm basically, my daily step count now is 2,000. So there you go. All right.
That's great. Oh my gosh. I remember probably last year on this time, we were talking about the counter on our phone, the step counter on our phones, because we have the Google Pixel. So we're using Google Fit. That's so fantastic. Because last year you were saying maybe over 1,000, maybe 1,300 at the most, but there are some days where you were like 700.
There was days when I was in the 300 steps in a day. It was down here, sit down, get back up, go upstairs, go to bed. That was 300 steps. And I did that plenty of days. So, yeah, I'm happy about it. Man, the knees are tough, but it's funny. With my knees, it's like the first 10 or 15 steps are very, very painful. But then once I get that, I guess, lubrication or things moving or warmed up or whatever, I can walk for a little while. And then, then if I'm sitting for, too long afterwards, then the 10 steps are very painful. So I've been trying to add more steps to what I'm doing and 2,000. So we'll see what happens and try to make it 3 and go to 5 and then see if I can get to 10. For me, it's a pain level thing. That's the only thing that holds me back. So there we go. Winning Wednesdays, everybody. And you know what that means.
Oh, boy.
Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time for the moment you have all been waiting for. It's time for the weigh-in.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, I was just going to say, ladies and gentlemen, that is professional wrestling announcer, Jason Bryant.
Yes, he has announced for the Olympics.
Yes.
So. And us. That's his resume. Olympics, 8 to 8. That's all he does, clearly. No, Jason, if you're listening, Jason does a bunch of things. I do not feel like giving him a plug. Jason, congratulations. If anybody is into college wrestling.
Scholastic wrestling.
Scholastic, yes. Oh, I always consider it college. Does he do some
he
high
does,
school?
sometimes he talks about high school and stuff like that. But yeah, Scholastic wrestling. Not the pro stuff, the real wrestling.
Yeah, go check him out. Well, the pro stuff, there's a reason it's not actually called sports. It's called sports entertainment. And
But MatTalkOnline.
Yeah, definitely check him out. So I feel like I'm just delaying the weigh-in because I don't want to. So
I don't want to.
Jason, I love you. You are my procrastination this week. So I talked very briefly. I went to a family reunion on Saturday and ate all the things. Like my window opened up and my window closed and I was still at this reunion and I just ate right through my entire window. I stopped at 8, but I had started at 12. So I had a whole 8 hours and this was eating all the things. I got on the scale Monday. I was up 5 fucking pounds. I wasn't even angry though. I was like, totally worth it. Like it's one of those things like, you did what you did and you're just like,
all right, how much?
I'm not even sorry.
How much is the damage? Yeah,
exactly.
That's about right. That's about right.
And there was a lot of salt. And plus, it's been so hot that I'm just swollen, like so hot and humid that I'm swollen all the time. So now, though, I was able to get it down. Now I'm only up 2, but I've lost that 2 before. I can do it again. It's fine.
You went to a family reunion. You indulged. You had a good time. Food was involved.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing. It's not the end of the world. And it's not like, well, screw it. I screwed that up. Now I'm going to put another 40 pounds on.
Yeah. And the funny thing was, went right back to regular intermittent fasting. I mean, with intermittent fasting, I was still technically intermittent fasting because I was only eating for those 8 hours. But I really pushed that you can eat whatever you want for 8 hours and not gain anything. I really pushed those limits. I don't know, maybe to see if I could. The food was really good. I was having a good time. So, but then went back to eating regularly, still an 8-hour window, sometimes a 6, but wasn't going overboard of just like, oh my gosh, I have to correct this. I was like, no, you know what? I'm just going to go back to how I do every day. And the weight slowly went off. I didn't worry about it at all.
Yeah, again, when you eat carbs, your body retains water.
Oh, yeah. And there were pretzels, John.
Oh.
They grilled pretzels. I had
Grilled
2.
pretzels.
Yes, they put pretzels on a grill and I stuffed them in my face.
Yeah, it happens. It does. I mean, but again, it's something that I don't even, you know how I hate the whole scale thing.
Yeah.
So it's not I don't consider this a fail. Matter of fact, you know how much I don't consider this a fail? You know what you're getting? You're getting one of them, because one thing I've learned through 63 episodes that is not what defines you. It's a moment of celebration. You're at a family reunion. You're doing something, and within next week that'll all be over and done with, and it's not a big deal. The problem,
you know what I would feel worse about is if I ate all of that because I felt bad about something.
Right.
That would make me feel worse.
Yeah, you're kind of celebrating. You're
saying?
testing things out. You're with family. You're enjoying food. You're doing something like that. It would be more upsetting is if that started something that would put on another 10 or 15 pounds, which is very easy to do in a situation like that. You're just like, get so depressed about that 5-pound gain, just go off the rails, fall off the wagon, get drugged behind.
I laughed. I got on the scale and I laughed. And I was like, I just saw you 4 weeks ago to the number on the scale. Like, really? You're back?
You're back.
Okay. All right. We'll do this again. Okay.
Yeah. So, so the past 2 weeks, I've had double-digit weight loss. And I told you that this is not going to happen there's just no way.
It's unrealistic expectations. Nobody expects you to lose double digits every week.
Right. But this week I'm down 4 pounds.
Yay! Okay. I was so worried that we would go back below 100. It was ridiculous.
So you gained 3, I lost 4. So now we're still under the 100.
No. I gained 2.
Oh,
you lost 4. So now we're totally. Okay, we're up 2, so we're at 101. We're still over 100, John. High five.
High five.
Virtual high five. It's okay. Oh my gosh.
All right. See, even if we did go back under,
I know.
It's not a big deal.
I know, but I don't like crying for nothing, John.
Okay, I get that.
I got so happy I cried.
That's true. All right. So, and I feel better that, Again, I think the last time was, it was a fluid correction in my body where I wasn't taking that. I was swollen and I was, carrying a lot of fluid. And I think what's happening is that's calmed down.
Yeah.
And, I'm back to, eating normal. And if I could do, honestly, would be happy with a 2-pounder. If I could come back here every week and say, I've lost 2 pounds, that's 100 pounds in a year. And that's fine by me.
Well, and even if you don't lose 2 pounds every week and you lose 1, because it's funny when I look at the weight I've lost in a year and I'm just like, oh, it's only 50 pounds. That's only 1 pound a week. I get so mad at that. I guess that's my ego voice, that little pattern voice, that evil voice inside of your head. That's just like, whatever you're doing is wrong and you are terrible and you should stop doing it. And we should go back to doing the things that we keep doing all the time that make us miserable.
Here's the thing, you get upset about losing, it's only 50 pounds. So what you should do is get a sandbag that's 50 pounds, throw it on your back and start walking around the house with it.
Yeah.
That's what you should do. And say, you know what?
My son right now is about 35, 40 pounds.
Right.
Lifting him, I can barely lift him up anymore. I'm actually trying to do more yoga so that I can lift him up because he's still young. He's young, but he's very tall.
He's going to be a big boy.
Yeah, he is. The doctor already said the height you're at when you're 2, double that, and that's usually the height you will be as an adult. He's already about 3 foot 2 inches. So
6'4".
Yeah, he is going to be 6'4". Mark's about 6'1". I'm tall for a girl, but this kid, I don't know. Mark's really excited because he's going to play hockey, apparently.
Oh, he's going to play hockey?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
I know.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for letting me blabber on about my whole thing with this.
Do you feel good?
I do feel good.
Do you feel lighter? Do you feel lighter now?
I feel lighter, not physically, but mentally I feel lighter. And I feel that I'm in a place now where I can challenge things. I'm going to take it back to there's, I don't like to get political on this show, but one thing I do see is I see the news and they report a story and then I see another news and they report a story and it's like, are they even looking at the same thing? So what I do is I step back and I look at that and I look at what they're both saying and I say, okay, and then I gather the information that I need to make what I consider an educated choice. I feel like I'm doing that right now with my weight loss,
Yeah.
and with my eating. I feel like that I'm stepping back and I'm questioning things, and I'm not taking everything as face value. And then from there on, we'll see where it goes. So I feel lighter, but it's only been a day. In 2 weeks, we'll see where I am. I'm excitingly nervous about the next 2 weeks.
Well, I'll be checking in.
I know you will. And I might just pop on here Thursday, not to record anything, but just have a chat. All right.
Yeah.
You know what we could do? Let's do this. I got an idea for you. Wait to hear this. Let's pop on next Thursday, have a chat, not record it.
Okay.
Why not do that? Will you have time? Or is it Thursday night?
Yeah, Thursday night just to have a chat. Yeah, we'll go live Thursday.
All right, so Thursday night, we'll pop on. We'll have a chat. We won't record it. So everybody, if you're not a member of the Hate the Weight group, you got a week to jump in or 4 days to jump, come on over, jump in. And
you're listening to the recording.
Yeah, if you're listening to the recording, jump in. We'll have a chat. We won't record it. That way we don't have to, there's no editing. There's no show notes. It's here in the group. If we want to make it an episode afterwards, we can always take all right, here we go. We're going to record it, but we won't use it as an episode unless we really want to. How's that?
Translation, unless Emily feels like doing show notes.
No. We're not doing it. No. We're definitely not doing it. We're definitely not doing it this week you're away.
Okay.
But if we want to add it to the feed later on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we could do that.
We could do that. So there we go. Look at us having a production meeting right at the end of the show. Anyhow,
I know. Jennifer says post a time. We will post when I figure out my travel schedule, because I'll be getting back probably late afternoon on Thursday. I'm doing podcast timing in my head. Yeah, so probably at night I can do like 8 or 9.
Okay, you pick the time, and I'll set my schedule around it.
Okay.
All right. There we go. All right. So anyhow, if you want to join us, hatetheweight.com/Facebook. All the show notes and everything, hatetheweight.com. And that's it. So, all right, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you next Thursday in the group. And if not, we'll see you in 2 weeks.